What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ho to Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran. I got both of my co-hosts on the line with me tonight. I got my man, Jay Baba. What's good, man?
Not much, man. Glad to be back on tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed their Juneteenth weekend. But want to remind you, want to make sure that you're subscribing to us on YouTube as well as follow us on TikTok at Ho to Husband Podcast. And for those interested in advertising or doing promos on the show, you can shoot us a DM at Ho to Husband Podcast as well as email us at hoetohusbandpodcast@gmail.com. All right, T.
I also have my man, SD. What's good?
Nothing, man. I'm just excited about this episode, and I want to give a couple shout outs. One, to all the good dads out here after this Father's Day weekend, especially the black men doing their thing out here.
Yes, sir.
And then I want to give a shout out to Brother Soul Productions for always keeping the background audio fresh. All right, T.
I want to remind everybody that y'all can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on thecore94.com. Tonight's episode is titled Dear Alpha Women. And we'll be having a conversation about alpha women with our guests later on today. But y'all know how we do it around here, man. We like to discuss stuff that we've seen trending or stuff that we've seen on our timeline. And so there was no other place to start than the news of Zion Williamson. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Zion and his girlfriend announced a pregnancy, which sparked media fury with his side chicks. So there's this adult film star named Mariah Mills that went on a Twitter tirade, putting all his business in the street to the point where I believe the latest news is she got banned from Twitter because she was threatening to release some sex tapes of them. Man, what was y'all's thoughts when y'all saw this whole scandal break out?
I was thinking, man, how could he be so stupid? That was the first thing I was thinking, because she is horrible to me. There ain't nothing about her that I personally would find attractive. So for me, a dude that's worth $300-400 million finding that attractive enough to be doing all the things with her that she's saying, man, they slept together raw. He better hold
raw.
Man.
Yeah, like to me, that is insane for an OnlyFans model and an NBA player to be putting himself in that position. But not only that, his baby mama is allegedly an ex-porn star and chick that used to run around with.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, allegedly she was a stripper at an Atlanta strip club at believe Blue Flame. If I'm not mistaken, allegedly. Yes.
It's alleged.
Man, that's part of the problem with this generation of athletes that just get super rich super fast. Because this is exactly what Brittany Renner went to Jackson State and was trying to warn them about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like women that just because she got a BBL or she's smashable to a lot of guys don't mean it's a good move, man. Especially when once you made it, bro. You done tarnished your whole legacy over this. They talking about trading cuz everything.
Yeah, and it just goes to show the type of woman that you should know off bat this chick is a porn star, right? And I know it's some that's done reformed and they okay now and everybody don't live that life, but this is what she does currently, right? So it don't surprise me none that she is going so hard and trying to air out all his business like that. But for Zion, it lets me know that he don't understand his value as a man. That's what it lets me know, because when a man understands his value out here, not just financially, but who he is as a man and what he has to lose, he moves completely different. And it's certain women that he will not even let into his circle for him to possibly have what's going on to him now, because he's learning a hard lesson right now, and it's gonna get harder with this baby that he got from this other chick that was a baby mama already and that's older than him. He gonna learn a very hard lesson out here, and I feel sorry for him. But hey, you made your bed, you gotta lay in it.
Absolutely, man. It's two things that number one, Zion should have known better than this when you're messing with chicks who are allegedly on OnlyFans or doing porn openly here, right? And another thing, I think what it comes down to is this chick knows she's blowing the bag, so she's just throwing anything. She's pretty much at this point just throwing whatever at the wall and see what sticks here.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's the generation that she's in. People in their 20s air their grievances on social media.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of par for the course with especially those type of women that are used to dudes with money and, you know, you monetize their sexuality, etc. And so she hit the jackpot as far as women in that category go. You're looking for a young dude. If you get pregnant by him, you hit the lotto at least for 18 years.
Yep.
I think that real quick, Jay. I think that, for her, I don't really think that it's really the money because she's doing porn and on OnlyFans. Some of these here porn chicks make massive amounts of money because she put the screenshots out. He sent her 20 grand, 25 grand, 30 grand. Like, I believe she's
breaking her off
like that. Yeah, she probably doing something like that in a month on OnlyFans. And this here exposing this just boomed her name out there even more for people to want to go see who she is and raise up her subscriptions. I think that's what it's for more than anything. I don't think that she's really hurt behind it. Yeah, she's a porn star. Like, I don't think she's really hurt behind it. I think it's more about clout chasing, trying to get her name out there, and he fell like a dummy.
You know what? I definitely agree. I think to be fair to Zion here, he's young. What is he? 23 years old. So this is, one of these young mistakes that he's made. But here's the thing: he has a stepfather. I guess maybe stepfather didn't tell him. And here's the thing: I think we gotta mentor our boys here, not make these mistakes like these here.
The NBA.
I mean, they get mentored, bro. Like, Zion was famous before he went to the NBA. Like, he had a whole year in college to learn how to deal with groupies and reckless chicks. He
was
this ain't the first year player. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he got he's been having money for 5-6 years now.
Yep.
So your decision making, man, just like I said, man, a lot of guys that don't have self-control because they haven't experienced it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's in a position where he could easily have a wholesome chick that's having his baby. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, but you know what it reminds me of? Zion reminds me of a dude that didn't get chicks when he was young. That's what this reminds me of. Like, he might have been that popular guy, but he also might have been that nerd to where he wasn't getting nice women. So now he'll take anything. Plus, couple that with a 22-year-old's uncontrolled hormones in his whole phase, man. It's hard to think clear when you thinking with this. When this here is doing all of the thinking for you, you see something you like and you going after it. You ain't thinking about the consequences behind it. And that's the problem that he has ran into. He was thinking with the wrong head, in the words of my pops.
Yeah. I mean, but he was an internet sensation before he was even at Duke. People knew who he was since I would say he was at least he was a sophomore. I mean, I knew of who he was then. I was coaching at that time. So I can only imagine of how many DMs he was getting at that time as a sophomore, or how many DMs he slid in.
Yeah, I mean, and we live in a screenshot world. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so all these conversations, like, man, they can be recording of the phone calls you have. Like, you have the level of caution has to increase to match the times, fellas.
Yeah, but you know what? She did say, hey, the NDA is void because I signed a different name than my real name, you idiot. That's what she said. I signed a different name than her real name because he sent her, he said, hey, yo, you got an NDA. She said, well, that ain't my real name. Surprise. Like, this chick, this was a game all along to her. It was never real for her. And for him, he might have thought it was something more than what it was because he invested his money, and then he was hitting this chick raw. Man, both of these here moves to me, man, just don't make no sense at all.
Man, fellas, this here is a precautionary tale, man. You gotta watch it when you're dealing with especially these OnlyFans models, Instagram models, because like you said, we live in the screenshot day and age here, where you're just one screenshot away from having public humiliation here.
Well, that can happen with anybody that you trust to share your personal information with.
Absolutely.
So there has to be the vetting process to see, like I said, man, a woman that will show her ass and her whole body on the internet, it'll be very hard for me to trust that type of woman with my personal business and my personal information. Or to have the expectation that she's going to handle a conflict behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's just me.
It ain't even no vetting that got to be done with that. But we older, right? We older, so we been out here. We done. I know I done stupid things too with women. Trust me, everybody has, right? So I get it, but I don't think that a vetting process is even necessary. Some people you can see right away that you shouldn't mess with them, that you shouldn't deal with them. And to me, this is one of those instances where he should have seen this woman, looked at her lifestyle, understood what she did, and said, "You know what? This ain't good." Exactly. Ain't no vetting necessary.
I mean, more. It's not. He's not the only one that knows what she looks like naked. So, come on, how would have problems trusting somebody like that?
I mean, the honest truth is, for most of the majority of us that didn't catch our woman early on in the game,
you ain't gonna never be the only one.
Somebody know what a booty hole look like. It ain't just you. But I'm gonna tell you,
no doubt,
I'm not gonna go get with a porn star where everybody is one click away from seeing her booty hole. Now, I've had that, but I'm not gonna do it. Like, I can't put myself in that position as a man. I'm straight.
All right, man. Let's keep things rolling, man. Now, this next clip I saw was a clip of Young Miami during an interview being asked about the city girl culture that she promotes in her music, how she would feel about her daughter becoming a city girl. Let's take a look.
I'm really a whore. Like, I'm with a W. Like, I'm a whore.
But define that, though.
Like, I'm a whore.
What if Summer comes to you, as pretty as she is, and says, "Mom, I want to be a city girl"?
She ain't gonna be no city girl.
So Summer ain't allowed to be no city girl?
No. I want her raised totally different. Like, I don't even want her to even see the light of day like that. Like, I really want her to just be like, like level-headed, a schoolgirl, and just on a whole nother wave. Like, I kind of was raised different, so I don't want to raise her up how I was raised. So, I'm a city girl, ain't nothing wrong with it, but I don't want that for my daughter.
Man, she's so delusional, man. Like, what do you think your daughter is paying attention to? Her famous mom's songs. Like, I don't get it. So she thinks that her daughter's gonna grow up and not emulate her.
Man, listen.
Right.
This don't even make no sense. But you know what it tells me? This chick need therapy. Like a lot of people out here, especially, women go through different relationships and stuff like that, because she on one hand she's saying, "Hey, I'm a whore," and on another she said, "I love getting pissed on." I love getting pissed on in another interview, right? And then turn around and say, "But I don't want my daughter to act like this." But guess whose daughter it's okay for? It's okay for y'all daughters. It's okay for your little cousins. It's okay for your aunts or whatever the case to do and to emulate if you listening to this mess that she's putting out there. But these types of women right here deserve to get pissed on. They deserve to be the seventh. They deserve to be the seventh or eighth chick to a man because they don't respect themselves. So why should a man respect a woman like that? We won't 9 times out of 10 because we look at how a woman moves. And how that woman moves is going to dictate how we treat her. That's why Diddy treat her like he treat her. And got these outside babies and 6, 7 girls that he run around with and just get with her when he want to get with her and have some fun. Because he know that she don't have no real respect for herself and morals for herself enough to say,
but Diddy and guys like that, he's been paying for the women he sleep with or whatnot. But she's made herself look so stupid. Remember, she was on the interview talking about she want to have a baby and like, so she has these wife goals, but you a thought and you emulate and promote thought culture. Like, but from her perspective, she probably views everything as a success because she got Birkin bags, she riding a Rolls Royce, she's on a yacht, she's flying private. So most girls are gonna want to emulate that.
Yeah. Now, you know what? It's crazy that she would promote this stuff to the masses, but she wouldn't promote that to her daughter, right? Almost, it reminds me when Cardi B said that she wouldn't have her daughter listening to her music, right? But here's the thing, kids are gonna follow your example and not what you say. Like if you Google Young Miami's name, first thing that's gonna come up is City Girls. Because her name is synonymous with that, and that's forever.
Yeah, I mean that's the brand that she built. Now it's not to say that you can't grow, but you can't erase the past either. You know what I'm saying? Like Jay-Z always has that dress. I used to sell dope. He had his reason and his logic and why he did it, but it's a part of who you are. And her prostitution, sell, you know what I'm saying? Like fuck dudes for money type attitude, man, it's permeated culture. Exactly. Like that's the prominent mindset these days.
Same thing we're gonna remember Kim K for, you know, the sex tape with Ray J.
Yeah, but
that's different. I don't think that was initially done to catapult. I thought after it was released, there was some, you know, marketing and then turned it into a thing. But I don't think that she initially used that. Well, it wasn't a plan for her to blow up like that. But
they took it and ran with it. Go ahead.
Right.
No, so you know, it's all fun and games when you young for these women. This is all fun and games. But see, when you get traded in for a younger model, your body ain't as banging no more. Now you older and you want other things. It's gonna be something that you're gonna feel empty with. Yeah, because I can guarantee you she was upset when Diddy had a baby with somebody else. She want a baby. She want a baby by a rich dude. That's who she want a baby by, because then she could be set just like a lot of these other chicks. Because she run around saying, "Oh, I don't want to get married. I don't want to be no wife. I don't want to do that." But you want a baby, and then on another interview after that, she said, "You know what? I changed my mind. I want to be a wife." These women are confused because they confuse themselves with the music that they tell themselves that they recite and they remember, and then they go home to their kids and want to be something else and don't want them to do this. So now they got to try to transform into something else so that her daughter don't emulate exactly what she's showing her on a daily basis. These chicks are confused. The dudes too. It's not just women.
You know that's the touch of the point, and exactly how this game works in the music business, where you know you're hot for a few years and then they sock you out for the next one. I mean, we've seen it since the '90s. The Lil Kim, Foxy Browns, you know, to the Nicki Minaj's, to the Cardi B's.
But I'm sorry. With the amount of success that she's had as an individual artist or as a member of City Girl, she should have made enough money to be able to take care of herself forever. Right, she should have made millions of dollars, but the lifestyle that she promotes, where life is all about party, like I understand. Like when a new artist come in the game, I expect them to talk about how they lived before they made it. You know what I'm saying? Like going from broke to struggle, etc. But I expect to see growth. I expect you know what I'm saying? Like I like artists that talk about not doing the drugs or getting out the streets, trying to avoid those type of things. Because it shows you that they're putting out something that has some substance to it. You know what I mean?
But you know what? That's kind of gone by the wayside, especially you know especially in the 2010s up until what we're listening to now. You know, they promoted drug use a lot, especially in the 2010s and beyond here.
Yeah, but what other songs do they have besides what made them hot a couple years ago? I don't really, know any songs that they done had really since then that's really been out there like that. I think she's more known for being Diddy's girlfriend in music at this point, because 4-5 years ago, okay, they had a song that made them hot as City Girls, but since then, what have they done? I know they just came out with a song, but I ain't really heard much buzz about it like that, because it's the same old.
Because both of them got with rich dudes and started enjoying JT is Little Uzi. That's how you say it, Lil Uzi Vert.
Oh, okay.
Lil Uzi Vert, yeah.
I don't be knowing what's going on out here, but okay.
But so both of them are. I mean, I follow them, so they getting birthday gifts and you know what I'm saying, all the lavish gifts that all the women want. And they're getting it. I mean, he ain't on Diddy's level, obviously. But as far as a new generation, he's definitely got several million followers and a very successful career. But I mean, as a man that has any values, any experience with women, it's very easy to spot women like this and to put them in the appropriate categories. If you only be involved with her, it needs to be on some kicking it, hanging out, having fun type of vibe. Like only a damn fool would try to take this type of woman serious, and especially have her raising your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The other one don't have kids?
Not yet.
Because I don't really hear much like the other chick. Like I don't really know, you know what I'm saying, much about her or who she is. Like to be saying stuff like this other woman is saying. But most men, when she actually get out here and start dating, and she ain't, you know what I'm saying, dealing with Diddy no more, she's gonna realize most men are gonna put you in a category like they put Amber Rose, Alexa Sky, Black China. You gonna go in the Pound Town category, not the I want to wife this chick. You mean to tell me this the chick that was saying she like to get pissed on for millions of people to see? This the chick that says she's a whore for millions of people to see? I'm not gonna wife that, but guess what? I'll feed her to the mattress mostly all.
Yeah, she's very attractive. She's very attractive. Yeah,
but take you to the altar? Absolutely not.
Hell no.
Take you to the mattress? Sure, come on, let's go. So she gonna find that it's quite difficult out here once she's done with.
I mean, but just with her expectations of men, she's already eliminated 99% of men because she only want to do this rich and can spoiler and do all that type of stuff. So her dating expectations are already warped, and her mentality is not conducive to a long-term relationship in any way, shape, or form. So the women that listen to. Yeah, I mean, the women that emulate celebrities and try to be like them, like they're lost to begin with. Like, so fellas, if you dating a chick and all she do is focus on what Nicki Minaj do and what they say and where, you got a problem on your hands. Yeah, you don't want a woman that's trying to live up to they artists that they like. That's not how real people do.
Or like me, I've talked to a few women that had dudes that were ball players. Basketball and football, and it's kind of along the same lines. These hit chicks, man, you gonna run yourself ragged trying to keep a woman like that happy. I'm gonna tell you right now, because these hit chicks used to the moon. Well, I ain't got the moon for you, boo. I can't give you the moon, but I can give you a moon pie. That's what I can give you. But they expect all of these here things, and like you said, that's less than 1% of a man that you're expecting it from. And so it's a headache trying to deal with those types of women, but they don't understand that the older that they get, the more they move themselves out of that running for those types of dudes. And she's wasting time right now with Diddy because Diddy ain't gonna get married. I seriously doubt it at 55 or whatever he is years old with all the money he got getting married. Like, and by the time she gets out here and realize it, by the time she gets out here and realize it, it's gonna be too late. Her name is already tarnished. So
yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, but it's funny though. Like she'll be in the interview stating that she's a whore, talking about the things that she's done sexually and all this, and really expect men to view her as a wife, as somebody that they will want to have their last name, that they will want, that they will be proud to say that she's their woman. I've never heard a dude talking about they want a woman like Young Miami. Except sexually. We think we would all smash. Nobody's debating that. But it's not that difficult for women to get dick. Like, dicks ain't complicated organs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't take that many things for a dude to get in yes mode.
Exactly. Listen, women can get sex from the time they turn 12, 13 years old until the day they die.
No, I wouldn't say all that.
Jay, what are you doing, man? You talking 18. 18 and older. All right, from the time turn 18.
No, I'm making a point.
Well, no, I think that they can start getting sex as early teenagers. I don't think that they can just get it throughout their whole lives. I think most women, I was gonna say a lot of women push themselves out of desirable categories for most guys. probably in their 30s or 40s. You know what I'm saying? Like the drop
Oh,
real dressing.
Oh, you talking about the prime? What you talk about is the wall. That's what you talk about.
Yeah.
Their prime is when they're young. The younger a woman is, the more value she has on the dating market. We talking 18 plus, right? 20 to 35, somewhere in there. The more, the higher her value is on the dating scene. A man's value is really low in between 20 and 25, 30, whatever. So we just do the reverse as we get older. Men typically get their finances and stuff together. Women fall off physically, the things that most men look at when they try to approach a woman initially. So that's just the reality that a lot of women don't want to deal with, don't want to face, and they don't want to think about it. So it makes a lot of them delusional to think that they're going to be how they are right now for the rest of their lives. And that's just not the case. And she's got a rude awakening coming.
All right, man. Look like we up against the clock. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be getting into our topic of the night with our guests. We're talking about alpha women and alpha attitudes tonight. So y'all want to stay tuned in. Y'all tuned into the Ho to Husband podcast. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, I'm relationship coach and author Terry Duran, and I am pleased to announce that my book, It's Not That Complicated, is finally available as an audiobook. So if you don't like to read or you just don't have time to read a paperback book, this audiobook is perfect for you. You can listen to it while you're in your car, while you're at work, etc. In the book, I break down how husband material men think and operate in regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating. The audiobook is available on audible.com and on iTunes. All you have to do is go to one of the websites and search for my name, Terry Duran. Go download your copy today. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ho to Husband podcast. We got our special guest for the night on. We got tonight we have Christal Jordan, public relations consultant and author. How you doing, Christal?
I am great. I'm great. It's good to be here.
Me and Christal go back a couple years now, so we've had some discussions, some heated discussions about dating and relationships. So I'm anxious to discuss her recent book. So before we get into the topic and the book or whatnot, can you let everybody know a little bit about you, your background, your age, relationship status, etc., so they can see where you're coming from?
Okay. All right. Well, as you mentioned, my background is public relations. I've been an entertainment publicist, had a top tier entertainment publicity firm here in Atlanta for years. But my background was always in writing. My first book came out in 2006, and it was Under the Cherry Moon. And this was basically a book about, it's a fiction, it's a novel, but it really talked about what happens when girls grow up without their fathers. And so moved to Atlanta, entered the entertainment scene and really became engrossed in that, running the agency and things like that. And time went by. My kids, I was divorced in my 30s, got married really early in college, got divorced in my early 30s, and was found myself single in Atlanta unexpectedly and wasn't sure what to do. I wasn't the best dater because I had gotten married like at 20 years old. So I wasn't ready for these Atlanta streets. And so I think when I met you, Terry, I had been single for a while, and I really had kind of settled into being single. I had listened, there's a lot of narrative about how negative Atlanta is when it comes to the dating scene. And so initially I kind of just decided, after being frustrated, I wasn't going to worry about dating. I was just going to focus on raising my kids and focusing on my career. And I did that. And for all practical purposes, it looked like I was happy. I mean, I was very successful. It seemed like with me being single, I was even more successful than I ever was when I was married. But the reality was I was not balanced at all. I didn't have boundaries when it came to work. I didn't have boundaries even when it came to me pouring into my children. I take being a mom as my most important job, but I didn't do anything for Christal, and so with me not doing anything for Christal, it's no surprise that I also was not able to really offer anything to someone else in a relationship. Fast forward, I had a situation where a little sister of mine said, Christal, I don't think it's smart for you to just not want to date anymore and give up on love. And I told her, I was fine with that being my resolve because I had crafted a life that I was happy with. But she suggested that I wasn't necessarily as happy as I thought. We went on Iyanla Vanzant's
putting on the front.
Well, you know what? And I don't even think I was fronting as much as I had just resigned myself to thinking that I could do without that. And that wasn't important. But in that wasn't the best version of life for myself. So sometimes I think you can get to the point where you're so jaded that you don't even realize that you're missing out on something that could be amazing. I was so busy trying to keep from being hurt that I was keeping out all the bad people, but I also was keeping out any good people as well. And so, like I said, that experience on Iyanla Fix My Life kind of opened me up to maybe some things I was doing wrong when it came to dating that might have resulted in me being single and being frustrated. And so I changed that, and actually, Terry, when I met you, I was resigned to helping other people and talking about love in a positive way, but I don't think I really saw that realistically for myself. After going on her show and making some changes, my reality when it came to dating changed 100%. I ended up getting married about a year and a half later, almost 2 years later, and I've been married now for almost 2 years, and I'm in a very happy relationship, but I'm able to see what I was doing wrong, and that's why I wrote the book.
All right. So the first thing that the title of your book is Dear Alpha Female, It's Not Him, It's You. So I just with the title alone, it seemed like you're coming for some necks, and I can see some some sensitive reactions to that. But the reality is there's truth to it. And so I wanted to start off by asking you, how do you define alpha female or alpha woman?
Well, I believe that there is a negative connotation with the word, but the way I define it is an alpha female is simply a woman that has leadership skills and leadership capabilities in certain areas of life. It's also someone that is very career and purpose driven. I think there are two types of women in the world. There are women that aspire to be with a man, and then there are women that aspire to have an amazing job, an amazing career. They're very internally motivated, and they may want a relationship as well, but it's not the ultimate goal for them. And I think that is how I define an alpha female. But I do want to point out the second part of the title that no one seems to pay attention to is Dear Alpha Female, It's Not Him, It's You, an interactive devotional designed to help you attract the love you deserve. Because I don't believe that being an alpha female is a negative thing. I think it can be a very positive thing if you realize what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Wow. Quick question. When you got in your relationship, got married, do you feel like it was hard for you to give up, alpha female, hard to give up power in order for the better good of that relationship?
Absolutely. I'll be quite transparent. Terry knows I'm very honest. It was difficult because you got to remember, I went from being in a marriage. I was married for 11 years together with my ex-husband for 13. So I was used to being taken care of. Even though I worked, I was not the primary breadwinner in my family. So I went from that situation to being the only breadwinner. I was pretty much taking care of my children by myself for around 10 years. So when you've done that and you've been able to build yourself up from scratch, my ex left me with very little to nothing. So I was able to build myself back up and, take care of my children alone for almost 10 years. So it was very difficult to have someone come in and kind of relinquish that control. I think anybody that's smart does, realizes that I don't just give over control of my life to somebody without them showing me that they deserve me to trust them. And so once I saw that I could trust my husband, I'm not going to say it was an overnight process. It's still I'm still a work in process of learning how to allow him to lead. But what made me open to even doing that with him, where I wasn't open to doing that with any men that I met before, is that he was consistent and showed himself trustworthy.
Those are good qualities. But, for me, I know you said alpha woman isn't necessarily, a bad thing. But for me personally, out here in the dating space, that's something that's a complete deal breaker. I don't want to be bothered with it for me out here in the dating space. Because typically, especially nowadays, it comes with a certain energy and attitude. For you to walk around and say, hey, I'm an alpha woman, because typically it's followed by, I don't need a man. I got my own this, my own that, and that's just the way it is. It's the equivalent to me of a man saying, I'm a beta male. That's the equivalent of it. And that's the exact opposite of it. And most women wouldn't even be bothered with a man like that, because it's gonna come with if it comes with that certain feminine energy, he's passive, he's not really a protector or anything like that, because he's more beta. That's what he does, right? Most women gonna leave him alone. So for me, I know that energy is coming with it if you're gonna run around here calling yourself an alpha woman. And so I don't want to be bothered with it. So for me, I think it's bad for a woman to do it, because most men don't want to be bothered with that.
I mean, I respect your opinion. We can respectfully disagree. It may not be for you. I can't disagree with that. But what I can say is that there are a lot of men, especially in the African American community. It's difficult for me to hear a man say that an alpha female is negative, because so many of us were raised by alpha women, right? A lot of times, and in my case, exactly, I just told you guys, I didn't start out that way, right? I started out in a home with a husband that, made a good wage. And I had to become the primary breadwinner and the head of household, because, we ended up going through a divorce. And so if I hadn't been able to rise to the occasion and be a leader and start a business and was able to run a successful business with, people working for me, those were qualities that enabled me to take care of my children in a positive way. My grandmother was that way. My grandmother was able to take care of her family.
Look like we're having some sound issues. I heard you. I wanted to ask you, did you ever adopt the mentality like, I don't need a man? Were you one of the women that was saying, blatantly saying that or speaking that into existence?
Well, I think that I just want to add some context to that. I think at one point in my dating experience, I decided I did not need that, right? And it wasn't about, I don't think it's about, I don't need a man. I think men need to understand that comes from a place of hurt. So when your heart has been broken, and I think, Terry, I kind of shared with you my story before, my heart was broken. And so when you go through a situation where you're hurt to that extent, I don't know that all men are able to understand the way a woman's heart can be broken when she is truly dedicated to a man. It is a natural reaction to not want to be hurt again. And so a lot of times that I don't need a man is not really, it's a defense for, I don't want to be hurt like that again. And I think that's where there's miscommunication, which is why conversations like this are necessary, because, we have to understand that I never was saying that. Of course, I realized the value of a man, but what was more imminent in my head was how heartbroken I was. And I didn't want to experience that pain again. And a lot of the men that I would meet, obviously I could tell they were not serious and they didn't have good intentions, and they definitely would have hurt my heart again. And so I think some of that was me not maybe knowing how to articulate that and say, I want a good man. I'm not open to be played with. That would be a better way to say it. But I just want to make sure that men listening to this, I know that you all are tired of hearing that, but just listen a little further to where that's coming from. That is a defense for a woman who has been hurt or has seen her mother hurt and doesn't want to experience that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I get it. And I completely understand what you're saying. But and like you said, we can disagree on it. You have your stance on it, of course, and that's fine. But personally, I really don't care. Like, you got your issues that you had and made you a certain way. I get it. I understand it. But I'm not a therapist.
Right.
I'm gonna tell her to go to therapy, because the facts of the matter are, if the man came to the woman, like I said, he's more beta, he's soft, he's passive, he's not a protector, he feel like he shouldn't be that way, a provider or any of those things, because his dad wasn't around to show him, or his mama babied him, or some woman hurt him, or whatever the case. Not very few women are gonna say, I understand you're more beta. Let me try to understand you and help you get up out of this. None of them. So for me,
I disagree with that. There are a lot of men that were babies that are bitch ass and are still in relationships. So obviously there are women.
But we're not talking. We talking about the whole attitude that's involved with it. Not a dude that's just more coddled and he don't really handle his business like that. But if a dude came to you like that and said, "Hey, this is why," because you want the men to take into account and listen to these jaded and hurt women that were hurt by another man, and then take that and try to fix her into being something for him. I just ain't got the time for it. Some dudes do. And most men, especially if they money is really good, like they ain't trying to sit around and do that 9 times out of 10. It is some that will, but the majority of men just ain't having it. That's why the alpha women out here that run around and they boss chicks and call themselves these things, that's why they have so much trouble getting the men they want. Ebony Williams is a perfect example of that. Taraji P. Henson and these here types of women that are having trouble, Tracy Ellis Ross, with these here men out here, even though they bosses, because a lot of men don't want to deal with that attitude, and I don't blame them.
Well, I wanted to ask Christal, so in your opinion, like when a woman achieves, like she's a boss, she owns her own company, she's making good money, etc. She's able to buy what she wants and live the lifestyle that she wants on her own. Do you think a woman being in that position, it makes it more or less likely that she would be able to resolve conflicts or issues with the man?
I believe that everybody has to do work on themselves. And I believe that a woman in that situation, in some cases, she could probably resolve conflict better, right? Because she will understand how business works. I know for me, I'm an alpha female, but my husband is an alpha male. Now, it took me some time to trust him, but just my opinion, I don't believe there's anything, as long as you are someone who knows who you are and is confident. I think a confident man doesn't have a problem with a confident woman. Now, a woman there are toxic people on both sides, beta and alpha, right? So a person that is healthy and that has a healthy attitude and has a positive attitude, but just has leadership skills and has the ability to take care of themselves, I don't think that's a negative thing or means that she would not be able to be an amazing partner. In fact, like I said, in some situations, she may be able to be an even more competent partner for a man that is very business savvy and that realizes that she can add to his table. You know what I mean? Like two bosses come together and it's an amazing thing. So I think that when we talk about, I think the idea of women that are bosses, being a boss doesn't mean that you have problems dealing with conflict. Having a bad attitude does. And those are two very different things.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So what advice would you give to a guy that met a woman that fits the textbook definition of an alpha woman?
I think that, like I said, for my situation, what impressed me about my husband and really made me listen and learn to trust him was the fact that he was consistent and that he was confident. I'm not saying, confident women need confident men. But the funny thing about it is everyone wants someone that's confident, even people that are not. So I think if you know who you are and you know that you're attracted to that person and that person has qualities that you value in a mate, the fact that they are successful should not be a deterrent. To me, the only reason that would be a deterrent is if you are not 100% confident in yourself. I'm not saying that you should be with someone that treats you badly or has a bad attitude, but like I said, a lot of us come from households with mothers that held the family down and were strong. Our culture goes back in history to women that were forced to be an alpha female. When you think about slavery and the fact that the slave master would often separate those families and would hurt the man and send him away, those women had no choice but to rise to the occasion. And so I look at it as our culture is filled. That's our heritage. That's who we are. I don't know a lot of women that aren't strong if they're healthy, right? So for a man to say that that's an unattractive trait, to me, that he doesn't really understand who he is and understand the beauty of our culture and what we bring to the table as people of color.
Well, it's a difference. It's a difference to me between confidence and arrogance, and for me, a woman running around boasting and bragging about being a boss chick alpha woman that don't need a man, that's undesirable. It has nothing to do with her accomplishments or her success, because men that have their lives in order, their financial lives, their mental lives, their emotional lives, and their spiritual lives in order, are running from these women, not because of what they have, not because of their jobs or degrees or any of that. It's because the attitude that typically comes with it, most men don't want to deal with. Because you could be a confident woman and bask in your femininity.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't believe when Terry asked me what was an alpha, I did not define an alpha as a woman that is arrogant and braggadocious and brags. I'm speaking of the characteristics that allow you to be successful when it comes to business. Just like there are women that are arrogant and throw their degrees and their accomplishments into people's faces, there are men that do the same thing. And a lot of times those men end up with women that are going to use them for their money because they lead with that. So anyone that leads with their accomplishments is coming from a place of insecurity, be it a male or a female. Now, you as a man probably has had more experience dealing with it being undesirable from women, but I can tell you as a woman, and living in Atlanta and dealing in the entertainment industry with a lot of men that are multimillionaires, men do the same exact thing. It's just more maybe accepted, but there's a reason that a lot of times those men end up getting used and, end up having to lead with that money or end up with somebody that doesn't appreciate them for themselves. So anyone who gets with someone that has a bad attitude is going to suffer for that. And there are women that don't want to deal with a man that is arrogant as well. So I just think that we need to look at being an alpha female, being a woman that is confident, a woman that is business savvy, that is motivated, does not go hand in hand with having a bad attitude. Often I can acknowledge when women go through hurt, it does create a bad attitude, but that's for them to fix, which is why this book says it's not him, it's you. It's your job to fix yourself. It's everyone's job to fix themselves, whether you're a man or a woman.
I agree. One of the things when people talk to me, when we have a discussion about feminine energy or whatnot, people often ask me about how me and my wife balance it out. And from my perspective, it looks like my wife's a project manager. So for work, she has to argue with men about deadlines and negotiations. She works for a foreign company, so she does business with men from Saudi Arabia that don't respect women and things like that. So for work, she has to be masculine and have, exhibit masculine traits just to get the respect that she deserves. And so when she's dealing with me, she has to be able to turn it on and off for work. What's it like from the female perspective, trying to balance that, reaching your career goals and objectives versus trying to reach your relationship goals?
It is difficult, and that's one of the reasons that I wrote the book. I have a similar situation to your wife, even though I don't, I'm not a project manager, owning my own company and working in music for the first part of my career. Most of the people that I worked with were men, managers of artists, and they are very, very, very chauvinistic. And the music industry is a very chauvinistic industry. And so I did have to argue, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of times when I first started, I would leave and end up crying in the car, right? My feelings would get hurt. I would be upset. And I had to learn how to put on this tougher exterior, right? And so I remember talking with the guy that signed on as a client. He was like, wow, you're a bitch. And I was like, now they enjoyed me working for them, but they thought I was a bitch. And that hurt my feelings. But then I realized that was what I had to do to be successful when it came to business. I couldn't go in a room and, be the smiley Christal that I had been before, because men would take advantage of me and they would push me. They would try to get things from you for free or try to ask you on a date. And I was really there for business. So because I had to put up this tough exterior, it came off as bitchy. And that's something that I had to learn to balance out, because I was so tired of men taking me for granted and trying to push me over and and just be disrespectful. So I had to present that. So of course, in a relationship, I had to learn once again, because I was out of a relationship for so long. You have to learn how to turn it on and turn it off. I think that's a quality that men are very successful at. Men are able to compartmentalize their lives, right? So a man can be a certain way at work. As soon as he leaves work, for the most part, I don't want to generalize. I'm talking about majority. The majority of men can leave work at work and come home and not bring that with him.
Right.
Women are not necessarily that way. And so when we are all in something, we are all in it. That's why when you look at workplace, a lot of times when women have small children, it's harder for them to be able to really focus on work when there's something going on at home, where men are able, not that they're less of a parent, they're just able to set those boundaries up. And so I think as a woman in the workplace, now that we're in the workplace in leadership positions, we kind of have to take a page out of men's book and learn how to compartmentalize. One of my husband's biggest complaints with me was, Christal, you don't leave work at work. And that's because that's just not my nature as a woman. And so I've had to learn how to do that. And that's something that he's helped me to do. What I can tell you all is that one of the benefits for me being in a relationship with someone now, he is showing me boundaries. And I think a lot of the women that I'm friends with that are career women, since one of you guys doesn't like the term alpha females, these are strong career women. They're strong women, but a lot of them do not have boundaries. I would go to sleep with my laptop, my cell phone in my hand. I wake up with the cell phone and the laptop. And my husband was like, this is not good for our relationship, but most importantly, it's just not good for you. And I think sometimes when you take out that place in your life where you get to be a woman, and I think you feel the most like a woman when you're with that man that you love, when you take that out and you don't have an active, relationship, there's nothing wrong with being single, but I think that often it's easy to become off balanced and be more focused on work and more focused on things that you're giving as opposed to really relaxing in that feminine energy. And so that's one of the things that I can say that I've learned to work on. But without, before I was married, I had no balance when it came to boundaries with work.
All right. Well, it looks like we are up against the clock, Christal. Before we go, I had two things I wanted to ask. First, just give me a quick snippet. If you were Zion Williamson's publicist, what would be your recommendation? And then you can, after that, you can let the audience know where they can find your book.
Woo, that is a rough one. I do think that if I was his publicist, I would sit down with him, because he's gonna have to get control of this narrative. It is out of control. It is all the way out of control. And I think, we are in an age now where, text messages have been released. They've been seen everywhere. He's going to have to come from a place of humility and truthfulness. And then also, I think that it would benefit Zion and other men in those situations to have a conversation, to do an interview probably with a female, where you're able to talk about being on the other side and men being victimized by women that are
brilliant
of what they can get from their money, and the fact that they can be extorted. Because I don't think we actually see men talk about that, and that's something that we definitely need to hear. So I would prepare him to be a poster child, to have a very honest conversation, so that he was able to, so he can get some empathy, from people. Because right now it's just, they're just clowning him. But the reality is that a lot of times men, young men specifically, in those high paying positions and high profile sports positions, they're targets. And this is a perfect example of that. And I think if he interviewed with a woman that was empathetic, not necessarily Gail King, but
no.
That was
opportunity, Christal. This sounds like an opportunity. I'm just saying.
I think it could be I think it would be the best way to handle it, because he needs to get a hold of the narrative, because he looks crazy right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So that being said, I also want to say, and that, who else should do that? Scottie Pippen. Like, what?
Ooh.
Marrying the wrong woman. Focused on the wrong things, marrying the wrong woman can destroy you and can destroy your legacy. But anyway, I am available. I'm so excited about this book, because I really feel like it's going to help women that are out there that want relationships. One of the guys said that a lot of guys don't want those females. Really, all of us have gone through hurt. All of us deal with it in different ways. Yes, it is your responsibility to fix your hurt, but I think my goal was to make women understand that you don't have to give up on love. There are men out there that appreciate and enjoy strong women. There's nothing wrong with being strong, but you do have to fix your attitude, right? And you do have to get yourself together. And so the book is available Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, every place. If you want to interact with me, you can find me on Instagram at EnchantedPR and also on YouTube from Christal. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about love and relationships, and it really is from a positive perspective. So this is all about healing the relationship between men and women, not polarizing us even more.
Definitely appreciate the love. Before we get up out of here, man, I want to give a shout out to Brother Soul Productions for keeping us laced with our background audio. And I want to remind everybody to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. Jay and SD, man, I appreciate y'all linking up with me so we can get this episode knocked out. And Christal, we definitely appreciate the conversation and the words of advice to our young athletes. This has been another episode of the Ho to Husband podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.